everyone. I will be speaking for the next 45 minutes, and I will be speaking about accessibility. So before I will start, let's do some check if you are with me today. So let's do some super short voting. Just raise your hand if I am talking about you. Is any developer on this, in this place today? Raise your hand. OK, there are some. Perfect. Is there any web developer here? Great, a lot of you. Who of you loves coffee? Ooh, a little people love coffee. I'm a little surprised. OK, so maybe not last question. Who of you have heard about accessibility before? Few people. Great, perfect. And the next question, who of you have seen this page before? Everyone. OK, perfect. Have you seen this page? It's a team who organized our today's event, and I believe they deserved some round of applause because they did a great job. Come on, perfect. It's a huge honor to be here in this beautiful city, in this beautiful venue, and among so great developers in the agenda. But I'm showing this slide not only to show our organizing team, but it was important, but I also tell you something. According to Colorblind Awareness Association, approximately 1 of 12 men and 1 of 200 women in the world would see the picture differently because they are colorblind. So for some of them, pictures I presented before may look like this. What is much more surprising, for majority of people who are colorblind, the pictures would not look like this, but like that or that. During my today's presentation, I want to give you some tips on how to build web pages, how to build Word accessible for everyone. Not only for people who are colorblind, but also for others who have some motion, cognitive, vision problems, and special needs. Before we will go there, let me shortly introduce myself. As it was said, I'm Dominika Zając, and I am from Kraków, Poland. I am programmer from education, profession, and passion, and I work as a software engineer at Qualtrics. Apart from that, I'm also a Google developer expert in web technologies, and I'm super crazy about Chrome DevTools, accessibility, best practices in code. So if you want to talk about any of those topics, feel free to reach out to me on Twitter, LinkedIn. Also, I'm a huge fan of karaoke, so if you are going somewhere today, let me know, OK? OK, some people smile, so maybe. OK, let's start with the topic of our presentation, the most important stuff. So what is accessibility, you may ask? And let's be honest, it's 2023, so each developer is starting solving problems like that in only one possible way, yeah? Let's ask ChatGPT. I'm not making you read that. It's really long, it's really difficult, and it contains very, very long and difficult words I probably can't pronounce correctly. But it's what majority of people thinks about accessibility. It's difficult, it's hard to explain. Come on, let's just skip that. Actually, definition of accessibility is super simple. It's just building software available for everyone, including people with disabilities. And we have to remember that we have special needs. But OK, before we will go there, I forgot about one slide. Yeah, very often we are seeing this short version of accessibility, A11Y. Why it's created, we took the first letter, the last letter of the word accessibility, counted letters in between, and it's easier to type, it's easier to remember. So if you are looking for some materials, for example, on Twitter, you can use this hashtag, and it's super easy to find. OK, what are benefits of creating accessible products. First of all, we are providing equal access to information for everyone. It's also increasing usability for all users. When our page is well organized, it's easy to navigate, it's easy to read, everyone likes that, and retention is higher. So there's a bigger probability that our users will come back, for example, to our shop to buy next thing. What is also more and more important, it may be required by your local law or company your company is cooperating with. Needs. We have to remember people are different. And we as people have many, many different needs. When we are thinking about people with disabilities, we are mostly focusing on people who are permanent, blind, deaf, who can't speak, and so on. But we have to remember that needs are different, and some of them are just temporary. For example, we broke our arm, and we are using the same computer, the same keyboard, differently for some time because we don't want to buy special equipment. We don't want to learn special tools. We are just using things we already know and we already have in different way. And some needs are also situational. For example, when you are at a bar and it's super loud, you cannot hear what is in the movie, yeah? So if the movie has subtitles, you can watch it even when it's super loud around you. Not all disabilities are visible, and this sign from London Tate Modern is super, super important. So please remember that we don't know what is inside other people and what they are struggle with. It's not just a theory. It's real people and their needs. So I want to invite you to step into your user's shoes to try to understand them better. Because that's the biggest problem, yet when we just read, hear about something we don't remember. So let's try to experience that. And the first experiment I want to propose to you was already visible on the screen. So I don't know if you heard about it, but you can conduct this experiment in like 10 seconds using just your computers. If you're using Chrome browser, you already have built-in something called Chrome DevTools. You can open it using shortcuts visible on the screen, or you can just click on the three dots menu, find the developer tools there. And later on, you can go to the section called Rendering and find drop-down responsible for vision deficiencies. Thanks to that, in 10 seconds, you can emulate different color vision deficiencies on any web page available in the internet. So I strongly recommend for you, just change this setting for like 1 hour and use the computer the same way you are using each day. You may be surprised how differently our web pages looks like when we just change colors, and how many things are just not possible to read, just impossible to find or notice. Okay, I saw someone was taking a picture. Done? Okay, perfect. So, the next experiment. I'm not sure if you heard about something called invisible exhibitions. Those are special places where you can feel like a blind person. They are in many European cities around the globe, to be honest. And if you have a chance, I strongly recommend go there. So you are, for example, at the house, and you have to do some normal daily tasks, like prepare some coffee. But they're so dark that you feel like a blind person. And it's really mind-blowing experiment. So if you have any chance to go there, strongly, strongly recommend for you. And the third experiment, super easy to perform, just unplug your mouse. People using special devices very often are using keyboard navigation only. They cannot use the mouse. And you may be surprised how many web pages are not ready for that. Because, for example, you have to click tab 50 times to go to the main content. Or some areas are not accessible at all until you use the mouse. Don't cheat, don't use touchpad there. And yeah, it's super easy experiment, easy to perform. Let's see what we could found there. So the most popular mistakes we see on the web pages. The first one, divs. Divs everywhere. As programmers, we know a lot of great HTML tags, buttons, images, selects, and so on. But we have also tendency to build our better, of course, widgets based only on divs. Unfortunately, even if we add great styling for them, even if we add some JavaScript, probably they wouldn't be read correctly by screen readers. So it's super important to use correct tags on your web pages. You can try to fix that adding some role attributes to the widgets if you already build them, but then please ensure if you, for example, implemented also keyboard navigation there. And how to notice problems with incorrect DOM structure. Who of you seen that before? Not so many people. OK, some of you, perfect. So this is Elements tab in Chrome DevTools. And here, you have a special tab called Accessibility. When you enable this checkbox, Full Page Accessibility Tree, you will receive this human body icon. And thanks to that, I have even tips for you. Thanks to that, you can easily switch between the view we know as developers, like HTML body of our web page, and this view, like accessibility tree, what is actually written for people who are using screen readers. We can switch back and forth between them. We can see what is exactly focusable there. So it's super easy way to find some problems with incorrect DOM structure on our web pages. The next thing, incorrect headers order. We have to know what is the most important and what is a little less important. If you watch The Office, you know why H1 is Michael Scott. Why it's important? Because many tools are creating maps and shortcuts based on that. So when users are using some shortcuts to jump between sections, and we are using incorrect headers order, then they have really big problems, and they can't navigate easily on our web page. The next thing, insufficient contrast color ratio. And you can see it, for example, here. This text is really hard to read. The second is much, much easier. We can read it, but for people who have some color vision problems, probably this text would be impossible to read at all. But voila, again, we have a solution for that. You can, for example, use CSS overview built in Chrome DevTools, thanks to which you will receive a report about all styling using on your web page, including all background colors, all text colors, and all contrast issues. What is great, when you click on those values, you will be redirected to those elements in Elements tab. And when you hover over this element, you can notice some contrast problems here. We have this icon informing us, come on, girl, there's something wrong here. Or you can go into Styling tab, click on Color Chooser, and here we have a section showing us that something wrong is with contrast ratio. And what is even better, here we have small buttons, which, after clicking, will propose us the better color, fulfilling the contrast criteria. So Chrome DevTools will find a better color for us we can use to ensure that contrast is enough. Oof. The next problem, missing labels or alternative text. When we are in the museum, especially modern art museum, sometimes it's super hard to understand what this artist was trying to create without special description, label. And very similar situation is for people who can't see. When we don't provide this alternative text, they will just receive information. There's some picture on the web page, but they have no idea what is on this picture. So we have to add it to our images. We can use alt tag for that or area label tag and just provide a short description what is visible in this picture. And what else? Very, very important. Problems with audio and video. It's quite easy to think what may be a problem here, yeah? When someone can hear or is at bar, as we were talking previously, sometimes we need those subtitles to understand what's happening. What is nice, it's also example where accessibility is helping everyone. For example, when we are listening conference speech in not our native language, it's nice when we have subtitles and we can just read what speaker is telling to us. Or when we are watching some YouTube video in language we are not speaking in, so we can just translate that to our language and watch. Problems with animations. Who of you have seen that before? Oh, I'm surprised there are some people. So, I'm not sure if you heard about it, but some people are very vulnerable for motions. And for some of them, it's just small headache or they're a little angry. But for others, it's like they can't read the page at all because they're so focused on this animation of this GIF, they can't read the page at all. Or they feel some very, very strong headache and have to turn off the computer. Fortunately, we can reduce motions on the system operation level using this prefers reduced motion option. I don't have a screenshot here how to set it, but you can easily find it on your computers. And as developers, we can easily detect that using media query or JavaScript and just turn off those animations. And one very, very important thing for you, I'm not sure if you remember web pages like that, yeah? But if you are still doing that, I will find you and I will hunt you till the end of your lives. So please, please don't do web pages like that. Some subtle animations are great, but not stuff like that. Okay, very important question. Do you feel overwhelmed already? Some people are. The rest is just, pretending, no, it's not me. Okay, but the good news for you. But there are much, much more problems connected with accessibility you should be aware of, but I cannot tell you about everything because my time is limited. Good one. We can use tools and automation to make our work easier. And first of the things we can do is, again, in Chrome DevTools, you can just perform accessibility audit using Lighthouse. It's super easy. You can do it on each page in the internet. Just open Chrome DevTools, go to the Lighthouse tab, choose category you want to perform the audit, in our case, accessibility. If you want to focus on desktop or mobile, and generate report. After a few seconds, you will receive something like that. So first of all, we will receive a score on the scale 1 to 100, where score between 1 and 50 is really bad. 51, 89, it's okay, can be better. And we are aiming for something 90 above. But what is also nice, we are not only receiving the score, but you will see the list of problems on your web page. And on each problem, you will receive also very detailed information, like what is wrong, why it's important, link to learn more, to understand it better, and in many, many cases, list of failing elements. So here you can, for example, just click on this element, go to the Elements tab, and fix the problem with contrast from there. Super easy way to check your web page and probably fix it just in few minutes. The next tool may be DQ, Axe. Very similar idea, just another tool for that. And Accessibility Insight for Web. It's also a great tool just to check accessibility on your web page. Do you feel a little better after showing you those automated tools? Okay, some people are nodding, so it's good. But yeah, I was lying. Actually, I had two bad news, one good one for you. So there is one more bad news. Very often, our web pages look like that. So we have super solid chain, but in the end, we just connected using some simple cable tie, yeah? And very similar situation is with accessibility on our web pages. It doesn't matter if 80% of your web page is available to navigate using keyboard navigation, if there's one element which is preventing you going further in the beginning, so users cannot go there. And it's super, super, super important to remember about accessibility at every stage of a project's life. So let's talk how to include accessibility into process, how to remember about it during not only testing in the end, but from the very, very beginning. First of all, mockups. There's a book called Programmatic Developer, and it's telling that bug found during designing is 10 times cheaper to fix than bug found during development, and 100 times cheaper to fix than the bug found during testing. Of course, it's simplified metric, but I like it because it's easy to remember. And yeah, during mockup, during talking with your UX designer, please think about, for example, navigation. What elements should be used there? And ask them to, for example, define the keyboard behavior on your web page. The next thing, unit tests. We all love testing, come on. And unit tests are great. You can use tools like JustAx, thanks to which, if you are React developers, you can see that all I have to do is add those 3 lines where app is my component and expect I have no violations in this element. Thanks to that, you will receive information that something is wrong with accessibility on this element very, very fast before going to production. If you want to receive this information about some problems even earlier, you can add also linter. So during development, linter will underline and highlight some problems with accessibility. It's super important, especially when your team is just learning about accessibility or you have some junior developers in your team, because, yeah, it's telling you, come on, you are doing something not really smart, please change that. And of course, yeah, automated tools I presented before are very, very important. We have to remember to run them regularly and include the results in our pipelines. Okay, next very difficult question. I know that tomorrow we have a panel about AI, but who believes that robots will take over the world in like next 50 years or something? Okay, who believe they don't? Okay, and I have to say I agree with the second group. And there are 2 reasons for that. First of all, they're not really smart, and sometimes they're a little dramatic, like Herbert the Vacuum, who believed he's stuck near a cliff. Sorry, I couldn't tell it's a cliff, yeah? Okay, the second reason is much more connected with topic of my presentation. So only 57% of problems with accessibility can be detected via automated tools. And unfortunately, we still need manual tests. It cannot be replaced with machines. Machines are great to recognize that, for example, we are missing alternative text, but when we put something stupid into this text, they have problem to notice that. There's also some tools which can help us. It's, for example, Accessibility Insights for Web. It's a great plugin, and this plugin will drive you through the whole process, will tell you what to test, how to test that. You can also easily create a report from that. So if you don't know what should be tested during this manual test, it's really, really nice to try this tool. Of course, if you can involve people with disabilities into your process, it's much, much better. But not everyone have this chance. And yeah, code review, maybe not always done by your cat. Sometimes human is good also. But remember about accessibility during code review. If you are using this checklist in GitLab or GitHub, you can add this checkbox for accessibility test, and many mistakes can be found just by second person who took a look at your code. So just remember about it during code review. A lot of words from my side, a lot of topic. So let's take a look on numbers. Those numbers you've seen before. 1 of 12 men and 1 of 200 women in the world are colorblind. Up to 26% adults in the US have some type of disability. According to web accessibility statistics, by 2060, the number of people 65 or older, so people who need some zooming or help with keyboard navigation, is expected to double to 98 million. So people who will need some support from our side, this number is just growing. Fortunately, there are also some good numbers, like 96% of all detected accessibility errors fall into just 6 categories. So when we fix problems with low contrast text, missing alternative text, empty links, missing form inputs, buttons, and missing doc languages, we can drastically improve accessibility of our internet. So when you go home from this conference, please just open your web page in Chrome browser, run Lighthouse Audit, and fix at least one bug you noticed there. Accessibility is not just about ramps and captions. It's about creating a world where everyone feels welcome and valued. And I hope that we together, we can create a better, more accessible world for everyone. Thank you very much.
One, two, three. Can you hear me? Give a round of applause. Questions? So we also have some time for questions from the audience.
Forgot, sorry.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
I'm coming back, sorry.
if we have any questions,
Okay.
shoot. Here you go. Just because we are recording everything, it will be best if we use the mic for questions
I
as
would
well.
like to point out that right now we have big impact of AI technologies growing up, and not always user is human, because sometimes our services are used by machines, and sometimes they are using not only APIs, sometimes they might use services like parsing websites, etc. Is there any good practice, and is it requirement by local market to do our services accessible not only for people with disabilities, but only for non-people users?
That's a great question. To be honest, I heard only about the opposite direction, like detecting if you are human or if you are a robot. Probably it will be a direction for us in the future to make our web pages more searchable via some algorithms and so on. But right now, there are no so special requirements for that. But again, if our web page is well organized, is using correct HTML syntax, and it's just easy to navigate, probably those scripts will also work better. So I believe that keeping those good practices for accessibility for human will also work for machines. And we'll see what future will bring for us.
Thank you.
Okay. Do we have any more questions?
Come on, accessibility is a super important topic over there.
Okay. Hope I don't have to, open ChatGPT to answer this
Hi,
question.
my name is Dan. I have to say, I completely misunderstood your presentation because I thought it's about internet coverage or something like that, but that's my problem, don't worry about that. So I want to know statistics by your expertise. Okay, we can say 80% need kind of accessibility help, but from the major websites, companies, Facebook, I don't know, the most popular websites, do you think they still need some improvement, like statistics or something like that? Like, do we see because first time is that I'm hearing about this topic. I just want to know if there is a possibility to expand this kind of business and services, and I don't know,
Sure.
What is your thought on this?
I believe we started talking about accessibility just a few years ago. I've never heard about accessibility on my studies. I studied computer science. I've never heard about accessibility like 6 years ago or something, so it's quite a new topic. But yeah, there's a lot of area to extend, and even those biggest players still have to improve some stuff. They very often have special teams focusing only on improving accessibility on their web pages. For example, in GitHub, there's a great team working just on accessibility, and I know they are creating some great materials and so on. Yeah, it's still not very popular topic, but it's much more and more important, and I believe that like last year or two, we started talking about that, and it's growing, growing, growing. So more and more companies are aware that it's important. More and more governments are also thinking about that. So they are creating some regulations we have to fit into. And I believe that starting just now, it's a great opportunity to be the expert in like 5 years when it will be must-have. I heard recently that it's like best practices on testing in programming. So in the beginning, we were not thinking about testing. Like just now, it's impossible to create a code without thinking about testing that, yeah? So I strongly believe that, I see some smiles, sorry guys. I'm really sorry if you don't believe in tests. Yeah, I strongly believe that in next 5 years, it will be must-have, and it will be just like creating a clean code. Everyone will do accessible code. Okay, hope it answered your question. Perfect. Do we have more questions?
No more questions. Thank you, Dominika. Pleasure having you here. Now we'll have a short 10-minute break. Go outside, grab a coffee or a drink or a chocolate bar upstairs, and we see you in 10-ish minutes back here. I'll be giving a lecture, so let's see how that goes. See you.
Thank you.